From the moment the Yellowstone 6666 trailer begins, you can feel the shift in tone. This isn't the chaos of the Dutton family or the political warfare of Montana. This is Texas, wide, unforgiving, and deeply rooted in tradition. The trailer leans hard into the idea that this ranch isn't just a location, it's a living, breathing institution. Everything about it feels earned. The land looks brutal, the work looks relentless, and the people look like they belong there because they've survived there. There's no rush in how the story is teased. Instead, the trailer lets moments breathe, almost daring the audience to slow down and pay attention. That alone sets it apart from most modern trailers. What really stands out is how the trailer sells the idea of responsibility. At the 4/6s, nothing feels accidental. Every shot, every line of dialogue hints at a place where mistakes cost more than pride. They cost livelihoods, legacies, and sometimes lives. The trailer doesn't rely on explosive action to grab attention. It uses tension, silence, long looks between characters that say more than words ever could. You get the sense that this is a world where the rule of law and the laws of nature collide every single day, and nobody is protected from the consequences. There's also a strong emotional undercurrent running through the trailer. It quietly reminds us that this ranch has history, and not the kind you can rewrite. Generations of families have built their lives around this land, and the trailer makes it clear that stepping into this world means respecting what came before. That theme alone connects perfectly with everything Taylor Sheridan has been building across the Yellowstone universe. Power isn't taken here, it's inherited, earned, and defended through sacrifice. And the trailer doesn't shy away from showing how heavy that burden really is. Another reason the trailer works so well is because it doesn't over-explain itself. It trusts the audience. It assumes UA. One of the most powerful things about the Yellowstone 6666 trailer is how clearly it defines identity. This isn't a story about outsiders trying to conquer a place they don't understand. It's about people who already belong to the land and are shaped by it every single day. The trailer makes it obvious that the 4/6s is not interested in drama for the sake of drama. Instead, it focuses on discipline, routine, and the quiet intensity of a life where there is no room for weakness. Everything feels deliberate. You can sense that every character introduced carries weight, not because of flashy backstories, but because they've earned their place through work and endurance. That grounded realism is what immediately separates 6666 from other shows in the genre. The trailer also leans heavily into the idea of earned respect, which has always been a core theme in the Yellowstone universe. But here, it feels more stripped down and unforgiving. At the 4/6s, respect doesn't come from a last name or power plays behind closed doors. It comes from showing up every day and doing the job right, no matter how brutal or thankless it might be. The trailer subtly reinforces this by focusing on moments of labor rather than moments of victory. There's no celebration, no triumph, just the ongoing grind of a life that demands everything from the people who choose it. That choice alone makes the show feel more authentic and emotionally heavier. Another thing the trailer does exceptionally well is establish stakes without spelling them out. There's a constant sense that something could go wrong at any moment, even when nothing obvious is happening. The danger here doesn't always come from violence or villains. Sometimes it's the land itself. Sometimes it's a single bad decision. The trailer captures this tension perfectly by letting silence do most of the talking. Long pauses, restrained dialogue, and lingering shots all suggest that this world doesn't forgive easily. If you fall, by the time you step back and really process the Yellowstone 6666 trailer, it becomes clear why it's hitting so hard with fans. This doesn't feel like a project that was rushed into existence. It feels earned. The trailer carries the weight of years of anticipation, and instead of trying to overwhelm the audience, it stays confident and restrained. That restraint is exactly what makes it so powerful. It trusts that the story, the setting, and the tone are enough to pull people in without forcing anything. And honestly, that confidence is rare. The trailer also feels like a statement from Taylor Sheridan himself. It's as if he's saying that this is the story he's been waiting to tell the right way. Everything about it suggests intention. The pacing, the mood, the focus on realism over spectacle. It all points to a show that isn't chasing trends or trying to please everyone. It's committed to its own identity. In a universe that has grown massive, 6,666 feels like a return to the core principles that made Yellowstone work in the first place: authenticity, consequence, and respect for the land. There's a quiet promise buried in the trailer that makes it especially exciting. It suggests that this series will reward patience, that if you're willing to invest your time and attention, the payoff will be meaningful. This isn't about quick thrills or easy answers. It's about watching characters evolve under pressure, watching traditions collide with reality, and watching a world that refuses to soften itself for anyone. That kind of storytelling sticks with you long after the screen goes dark. What makes the trailer so effective is that it doesn't try to convince you that 6,666 will be good. It assumes you'll figure that out on your own. It simply opens the door, gives you a glimpse of what's waiting inside, and lets curiosity do the rest. And that glimpse is more than enough. It feels raw, honest, and unapologetically grounded. Exactly what fans have been hoping for all day. As the Yellowstone 6,666 trailer continues to settle in your mind, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. This story feels deeply personal. Not in a sentimental way, but in a grounded, almost stubborn way that mirrors the people who live this life. The trailer suggests that everyone at the Four Sixes carries something with them: regret, pride, unfinished business, and the ranch has a way of bringing all of it to the surface. There's no hiding here. The work strips people down to who they really are, and the trailer quietly promises that not everyone will like what they find when that happens. Another layer that makes the trailer so effective is how it frames loyalty. At the Four Sixes, loyalty isn't declared in speeches or dramatic gestures. It's shown through consistency, through showing up when it's easier not to, through staying when leaving would be the safer choice. The trailer hints that these bonds will be tested, not by obvious betrayal, but by exhaustion, pressure, and conflicting responsibilities. That kind of tension feels real, and it adds an emotional weight that lingers beneath the surface of every moment tased in the trailer. The sense of isolation also plays a major role in shaping the mood. Even when characters are surrounded by others, the trailer makes the world feel vast and lonely. The land stretches endlessly, and with that comes a feeling that help is always far away. This isolation isn't just physical, it's emotional. Decisions have to be made alone. Mistakes have to be owned alone. The trailer leans into this feeling, making it clear that life at the Four Sixes doesn't offer comfort or reassurance. It offers purpose, and sometimes that has to be enough. What's especially compelling is how the trailer positions the ranch itself as something that must be protected at all costs. This isn't about profit or expansion. It's about preservation. The Four Sixes represents a way of life that's slowly disappearing, and the trailer subtly frames every. What makes the Yellowstone 6,666 trailer feel so intense is the way it treats time and patience. This doesn't look like a story that rushes toward big moments just to impress the audience. Instead, it feels like a slow burn, the kind that builds pressure quietly until it becomes impossible to ignore. The trailer suggests that life at the Four Sixes is measured in seasons, not episodes. Progress is slow, setbacks are common, and nothing changes overnight. That pacing alone creates a sense of realism that pulls you in and refuses to let go. You're not watching events unfold, you're watching a way of life endure. There's also a strong sense that this show is about proving yourself again and again. The trailer hints that no matter how experienced you are, the ranch doesn't care about your past achievements. What matters is what you can do today, right now, under pressure. That constant evaluation creates a subtle but powerful tension. You can feel that every character is being tested not by dramatic confrontations, but by exhaustion, responsibility, and the weight of expectation. The Four Sixes doesn't need villains to create conflict. The work itself is the challenge, and the trailer makes that painfully clear. Another standout element is how the trailer frames leadership. At the Four Sixes, leadership doesn't look loud or glamorous. It looks quiet, observant, and sometimes lonely. Decisions are made with the understanding that there are no perfect outcomes. only necessary ones. The trailer gives just enough glimpses of this mindset to suggest that the people in charge carry an enormous burden. They're not just managing a ranch, they're protecting a legacy that can't afford failure. That responsibility hangs over every moment, adding a layer of suspense that feels heavy but believable. The trailer also reinforces the idea that tradition can be both a strength and a trap. The 4/6 survives because it refuses to change too easily, but that same stubbornness can craw. At this point, the Yellowstone 6666 trailer feels less like a preview and more like a warning that this story won't be easy, comfortable, or predictable. It's preparing the audience for a world where outcomes aren't clean and victories don't come with applause. The trailer suggests that every choice made at the 4/6 carries weight, and once a decision is made, there's no undoing it. That sense of finality adds a quiet but constant pressure, making the entire experience feel tense before the show has even begun. There's also a strong feeling that 6666 is about accountability in its purest form. Number 1 escapes consequences here. The trailer hints that excuses don't survive long on this ranch, and neither do people who can't carry their share of the burden. This creates an atmosphere where every character feels exposed, not judged by others, but by the work itself. That kind of storytelling is rare, and it's what gives the trailer its sharp edge. You're not watching people chase power. You're watching them prove they deserve to stand where they are. What's especially striking is how the trailer seems to slow everything down emotionally. Instead of overwhelming you with information, it lets tension build naturally. It trusts silence. It trusts stillness. And in doing so, it makes every hinted conflict feel more intense. You get the sense that when things finally do explode, it won't be sudden or shocking. It will feel inevitable, earned. That inevitability is what makes the suspense so effective. You're not waiting for something to happen, you're bracing for it. The trailer also reinforces the idea that this story is deeply rooted in realism. There's no illusion that this life is romantic or heroic. It's hard, repetitive, and often unforgiving. Yet, there's pride in that hardship, and the trailer captures that balance perfectly. It shows a world where meaning is found not in comfort, but in commitment, in staying when it would be easier to walk away. What truly seals the impact of the Yellowstone 6666 trailer is the feeling that this story exists outside of hype. It doesn't feel like it was made to chase headlines or trends. Instead, it feels patient, almost stubbornly so, as if it knows its power doesn't come from noise but from truth. The trailer gives the impression that once this series begins, it will move at its own pace, unconcerned with external expectations. That alone makes it feel dangerous in the best way possible. It suggests a show that isn't afraid to challenge its audience, to demand focus rather than passive viewing. There's also a sense that 6666 is about permanence in a world that's constantly changing. While other stories in the Yellowstone universe often revolve around fighting inevitable change, this trailer hints at something slightly different. The 4/6 doesn't fight change loudly, it outlasts it. The trailer frames the ranch as something rooted so deeply in the land and its values that outside pressures feel almost insignificant by comparison. That quiet confidence gives the story an almost mythic quality, without ever drifting into fantasy. Everything still feels real, grounded, and painfully human. The emotional pull of the trailer also comes from what it doesn't show. There are gaps, unanswered questions, and lingering looks that suggest stories we haven't been told yet. Those absences create suspense far more effectively than obvious teases ever could. You're left filling in the blanks yourself, imagining the conflicts, the losses, and the sacrifices that must be coming. And because the trailer treats its audience with respect, those imagined stakes feel just as heavy as anything shown outright. Perhaps the most exciting part is how the trailer reframes what a Western story can be in modern television. It's not about nostalgia or romanticizing the past. It's about responsibility, endurance, and the cost of keeping something alive in a world that's moving on without you. When you look at the Yellowstone 6666 trailer as a whole, it starts to feel like a deliberate turning point for the entire franchise. This doesn't come across as an experiment or a side story meant to fill space between bigger releases. It feels intentional, almost foundational, like a reminder of where everything in this universe truly begins. The trailer carries a sense of permanence, as if once this story starts, its impact will ripple far beyond its own episodes. That alone raises the stakes in a way that feels subtle but undeniable. There's also a strong emotional maturity in how the trailer presents its world. It doesn't try to manipulate feelings with dramatic speeches or exaggerated conflict. Instead, it relies on atmosphere and implication. You're asked to observe, to listen, and to feel the tension rather than being told how to react. That approach makes the trailer feel respectful of the audience's intelligence. It assumes you'll connect the dots on your own, and because of that, the suspense feels more personal. You're not just watching a story unfold, you're mentally stepping into it. Another thing that stands out is how the trailer seems aware of its legacy. It knows the expectations that come with the Yellowstone name, and instead of leaning on them, it quietly challenges them. It suggests that 6,666 won't rely on familiar formulas or repeated conflicts. It's carving out its own space, one defined by discipline, restraint, and realism. That decision feels bold, especially in a franchise known for its high-stakes drama, but the trailer makes it clear that this restraint is a strength, not a limitation. The Four Sixes itself feels like a character in its own right, not through spectacle, but through presence. The trailer gives the impression that the land watches everything and forgets nothing. Every action leaves a mark. Every mistake lingers. That idea adds a layer of suspense that goes beyond individual storylines. You're left wondering how long any Yellowstone 6,666 trailer has done more than just excite fans. It's created a sense of anticipation that's almost tangible. What makes it so effective is how it balances familiarity with mystery. You recognize the DNA of the Yellowstone universe, the respect for land, the quiet intensity of its people, the weight of legacy, but at the same time it feels completely new. There's a sense that we're stepping into uncharted territory, a world that's been hinted at but never fully explored, and the trailer thrives on that tension. You know there's a story waiting for you, but you can't yet predict how it will unfold, and that uncertainty is